I'm Wang Xiang. Hello, everyone. And today I will introduce Chaosmeshaction. And I hope this action can help you use Chaosmesh in your daily development process to ensure the stability of your system. And I believe that most people here today are familiar with Chaosmesh. But there may be a small number of people who are not familiar with it. So I will give a brief introduction to Chaosmesh. Chaosmesh is a powerful chaos engineering platform for Kubernetes. Chaosmesh has the following advantages: easy to use. You can easily deploy Chaosmesh on the Kubernetes cluster, and it is designed for Kubernetes. You can use CRD. It means custom resource definitions to declare chaos objects. And the Chaosmesh has powerful functions. It provides multiple types of chaos functions, such as network, I/O, and the system kernel. If you want to know more about Chaosmesh, you can look at our official website. Since you have basic understanding of Chaosmesh, next, let's take a look at the GitHub action. As developers, I guess most of you know GitHub, where we can maintain the projects. And the GitHub action is a CI or CD function natively supported by GitHub, through which we can easily build automated and customized software development workflows in the GitHub repository. You can consider the action is a small tool, and it contains some objections to help you complete some specified tasks in the workflow. You can see in this picture, this is a marketplace of GitHub, and it provides many action functions. You can use them in your workflow. And if you want to know more about the GitHub action, you can look at the documentation of GitHub. Okay, now it's time to introduce Chaosmeshaction. In short, this project helps you use Chaosmesh in the workflow of GitHub action. This action is very simple. You can look at the source code in GitHub. It only contains some script, and this action mainly does these two things. The first one is install Chaosmesh, and the second is inject chaos. You can look at the right of the slide. This is an example configuration of Chaosmesh action. Set the Chaosmesh action in the use field, and then specify the base64 encoding of the chaos configuration file in the environment variable. Till now, you may still not know how to use Chaosmesh action. So I will create a workflow and use a simple example to illustrate. First of all, we have to design the workflow. We have to consider these three questions. The first one, what functions of the system will be tested, and which chaos developments are performed in the workflow. And at the last, we must consider how to verify the correctness of the system. You can see this diagram. We will create two pods in the Kubernetes cluster, and pin from the pod 1 to pod 2, and use Chaosmesh to inject the network chaos, and to test the pin, whether the pin can work in this situation. Then we will create the workflow. Click actions in the GitHub repository you want to test, and then click the button new workflow, and then you can create a new workflow. You can see this picture. The next step is to configure this workflow. First, you need to set the name of the workflow. You can see this picture. The workflow's name is Chaos. And this workflow will be triggered when you push code to the master branch, or you file a pull request to the master branch. Then we need to install the CI-related environment in this workflow. You can see on the right, this workflow will run at Ubuntu system, and next we should deploy a Kubernetes cluster. Here we will use a kind action. It will create a kind cluster. Kind means Kubernetes in Docker. And then we will print this cluster's information for debug, just like the configuration of this cluster, or some regions. And we will check out this repository, and then we can use the code in this repository later. Next, we will deploy the application, which will create 2 pods. And then we need to prepare the Chaos configured file in our local environment. You can look at this example configuration. This configuration will inject network chaos to increase the network delay between pods. It will be injected every 10 seconds and last for 5 seconds each time. Then we will use the best64 command to get the best64 value of this configuration file. And next, we will use this best64 value in the configuration of Chaosmeshaction. You can see this. Following the steps shown above, we have installed the environment, deployed the application, and inject the chaos. And then we need to verify the correctness of the system. The verification of the example is very simple. We just ping from busybox 0 and to busybox 1. And we will observe the changes in network delay in the log. So the workflow is configured, and then we can file a pull request to trigger the workflow. Here is a screenshot. You can view the running log of each step. Here is a snapshot of the step verify. Let's take a look. It can be seen that the delay is sometimes more than 10 milliseconds, and it will last about 5 seconds each time, which is consistent with the configuration of our injection chaos. So we can also think that the ping tool is indeed can be used to detect network delays. So we have introduced the use of Chaosmeshaction through a simple example. Maybe you want to know which projects use Chaosmeshaction. As far as I know, at least 2 projects in our company use Chaosmeshaction. One is TiDB operator. This project helps users. Users can use it to deploy a TiDB cluster in Kubernetes. And the workflow use portfolio type chaos to test the stability of this project. And another is data migration. It is a tool used to migrate data from MySQL to TiDB. and the workflow is still in development. We will write a blog about these two use cases later. It will in more detail. And what is next? You can see in the example, we use the kind to create a simple Kubernetes cluster, but the kind cluster, the performance of the kind cluster is very poor. Maybe some users want to use their private Kubernetes clusters, so we will support it later. And you can also see that we use the base64 value of the chaos config file. Some users think it is not easy to use. Maybe we will support to set the link of the configuration file. Maybe some users will keep the configuration in GitHub. So that's all.